After the Rainfall by G.A.M. Lance. Chapter 1. My Place. It's raining outside. Today is January 18th, 20XX. The sound of raindrops falling gently taps the front of my windows. Sitting on top of my bed, I turn my gaze toward the wall to look at the time. It is 3 a.m. My mind is unable to draw a wink of sleep, wandering about, my focus soon directed at the small black figures in the corner of the room. They were nothing but toy models of products long since past, a reminder of better times. Only they knew about my dark secret, for they were the only ones to see it. They were my only friends. I had to show it to them, and as expected, I heard a reply, a shallow echo creeping across the room. "Don't do it." And the silence fell again. To think about the chrome beast, knowing full well that once it awakes from its slumber, its deafening roar will be the last thing I hear. Living here with my parents, my existence amounts to being a waste of space. I want to achieve so much more than what I've done, but it's impossible. Another quiet echo pulls itself across my room, and with its arrival, another chain to tie my spirit to my coffin. Not yet. You can keep trying. Do not quit. It has barely started. With that, the echo was gone again. But I knew that it would always return, no matter how much time had passed. I wonder to myself just what it is about my life that I cling so tightly to, that I mutter out my encouraging echoes. What a joke. Don't do it. You barely started. In truth, I want to laugh. However, the thought of my demise did not accompany any ideas of joyous release. Instead, I was reminded of the undeniable truth of my existence, that choosing to be alive, to exist at all, is my rightful punishment for hoping for happiness. I was born to be an ant, meant to be crushed and walked over by superior beings. I know that I am their punching bag, and there is nothing in life that will ever change that. I no longer have any right to say when I will die. When the time comes, I will simply die. To say that I plan to commit suicide is to assume that I have any amount of free will to perform such actions when I have none. Someone else will be the one to end my life. Soon enough, as my thoughts spiral further and further down into the abyss, so did the world around me. I cannot say to you that I lived the worst life possible, and I realize that somewhere out there it is perfectly normal for atrocities to occur every day. But should my happiness be bound to the suffering of others? Sure, it's fine to know that I, in comparison to some other people in the world, have it better off, yet I remain unhappy. Even with the support that my parents deliver to me, encouraging me to do more and lifting me up where I am down, yet despite their best efforts, I cannot escape my own shadow. Of course, they're not perfect, and at times their lives hurt worse than any knife wounds, yet I still love them. They were the ones to expose me to values worth living for, even if it was a lie. At the start, I dreamed of living a perfect life, to be able to show the world that I did something with the time that I had, for the world to remember me, even if it were a mere side note, to honor all of the hope my birth inspired. With time, I began to wonder if there was any choice, that the environment simply removes any true freedom that I may have had in my life, and maybe if I was never born, hope would be free from the black whirlpool that is my heart. Yet, here I am again, sleepless and in the dark, sitting on top of my bed, listening to the sound of rain. The sun dimly broke over the morning haze, the clouds still taking up most of the sky. What a regrettable day for the students at the university. It looks like it's going to rain again today. My words sank toward the bottom of the floor and simply disappeared. After all, I was alone, as usual. My parents simply had no time to say hello. I figure once I was done with getting my master's degree, the pearly gates of the job market would swing wide open. Turns out I still have something to learn at the university, how to please a search engine. Essentially, how to prove my worth to my robot masters. I got dressed and prepared some eggs for an over-easy with cream cheese on crackers, finishing the breakfast with coffee in a styrofoam Cuban-style cup. As I pour some dark roast coffee, my breakfast routine is complete. It was cold outside, dipping into the low 60s, and it was only going to get colder after the rains. In the next few days, we will have a cold snap unlike anything we had ever had in a long time, especially here in the southern half of the States, and maybe some snowfall too. After finishing the meal and cleaning out the dishes, I got my no-name smartphone, went out the front door, locked the house, and into the car. The drive to the university starts easily enough, with empty streets cornering each block. It's the sort of scene that betrays itself. At first, one would be correct in believing that the road design of the state was to promote both mass transportation of goods and people, giving way to all sorts of thoughts of navigation and fast travel. However, soon enough, those ideals were cast aside after personal belief and money came into view. All that money always trading hands to increase the number of roads for public use. Yet, all we receive is the decay of all other thoughts or methods to get around. Or the fact that we would claim that we love our neighbor, but of course, that love was conditional on what they look like in the name of safety. Thus, we must have great distance between us and keep the danger over there and away from us, the beastmen whose fangs threaten to cut the thread of the good life short. Of course, they omit the fact that really everyone is simply a mere beast. We all are cut from the same cloth in one way or another. There is no changing that. There'll always be someone who has to be stepped over for another to escape the pain of suffering. But I digress. The goal now is to simply get to the university and learn how to find a job, something that in this environment gets harder to do. I do not understand why it is the case, but it stands that something has to be done about it. After finishing my appointment for the job search, I went to the library to pick up some reading material. The whole appointment went about as I expected, with some advice about promoting your brand and finding ways to appear more visible in the search engine. It is what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Soon enough, after dragging my coffin across the way, I was inside the library. It did not take long to find my materials, and as I headed toward the checkout desk, I saw him, reuniting with a former somebody from my past. You may even say friend. He too once had a name worth remembering, but failure after failure caused whatever bright future he had in front of him to erode.